think there ought to be prizes for when someone is at your table, like the table that has the rowdiest applause. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, just a thought. You guys are not with me tonight, so I got to come up with something to have you with me. For the first award recipient tonight, Irma Koja is going to do the honors of introducing him, and he has done quite a bit of work in our community. But Irma Koja is an attorney for the Guardian Ad Litem program, through which she represents abused, neglected, and abandoned children. She earned her law degree from the U. There you go. I love it. And her bachelor's from Columbia University in New York. And she is actively involved with Cosmos as well, and she serves with the Florida Muslim Bar Association. Irma Koja to introduce our first recipient tonight.
Distinguished guests, respected scholars, ladies and gentlemen, salam alaikum and good evening. Tonight I am here to present the Community Service Award to an outstanding individual who has made significant contributions in the civil rights realm, Mr. Howard Simon. Mr. Simon serves as the Executive Director for the Florida chapter of the ACLU. The ACLU's stated mission is to defend and preserve the individual rights and liberties guaranteed to every person in this country by the Constitution and laws of the United States. To that effect, the Florida chapter of the ACLU has focused on a number of issues, including advocating for racial justice and religious liberty, reforming the criminal justice system, upholding the rights of immigrants, and preserving the right to freedom of speech, the right to privacy, as well as the right to vote. ACLU Florida is a true defender of the Muslim community. When Muslim men were being detained in South Florida post 9/11, it was the ACLU that spoke strongly against the FBI and the INS. ACLU attended our mosques and spoke to the community about their individual rights. In 2003, ACLU also supported a Florida woman's right to wear the niqab for her driver's license, contending that the state violated Florida's Religious Freedom Restoration Act. As Executive Director for ACLU Florida, Mr. Howard Simon has continued to lead the organization in defending our civil rights and civil liberties. One particular issue that is near and dear to our hearts is the anti-Sharia bill that is constantly brought forth before the Florida legislature. The ACLU joined the SB 386 coalition to oppose the bill. The group includes Emerge, ADL, and the Florida Bar. Additionally, Mr. Simon has supported the Florida Muslim Bar Association, encouraging the need for Muslim lawyers to have a stronger presence in the legal community in order to help change perceptions. Mr. Howard Simon's commitment to preserving our individual rights and liberties does not go unrecognized. It is therefore my honor to present the 2014 Cosmos Service Award to a good friend of the Muslim American community, Mr. Howard Simon.
Well, thank you very much for a lovely award. I really appreciate that. I want to thank you for, I'm honored to be recognized by the Coalition of South Florida Muslim Organizations, whose leadership have been good, dear friends of mine, Mohammed Shakir, Shabir, Motawala, people that I've admired for so long. What few minutes that I have, I want to say something about, actually, my fellow honorees. I am honored to be regarded in the same category as Cheryl Little and David Lawrence. Let me say that. Cheryl Little is a national treasure. I work a lot within the legal system and have worked on the legal side of immigrants' rights for many, many years, and I want to tell you, there is nobody in America who has worked harder and more effectively for the rights of America's immigrant communities than Cheryl Little. She is a national treasure within our community. And I have known David Lawrence for maybe 30 or more years. We are both immigrants to Miami from both having moved here from Detroit. And I'm flattered to be put into the same category as David Lawrence. There is not a single person in the state of Florida who has done more for the to advance the health and the well-being and the readiness for education of the children of Florida than David Lawrence. And I applaud you for honoring him. But I want to be perfectly honest with you. You could have invited me here for just a cup of coffee at some local diner, but as long as you would have told me that I would have been able to sit next to my dear friend Dr. Jaffer, I would have shown up anywhere. I mean, everybody in this room, I have to believe, knows Dr. Moshe Jaffer. He is a dear friend and my hero, my role model. I have always been so impressed by the breadth of his knowledge and the generosity of his spirit. But I have a minute, and I did want to leave you with one serious message. And that is that the work that I do and the organization that I have now directed for, this is my 40th year as an ACLU affiliate director, 23 years in Michigan and now 17 in the state of Florida. But the work that our organization does is to make sure that we are all not advocates for human rights in hindsight. Let me just take a minute and explain what I mean by that. It's easy to look back, for example, 75 years ago in this country, in American history, following the attack on Pearl Harbor, when so many Americans were fearful and suspicious of those in our midst who are from a different culture. So fearful that we actually could have supported putting approximately 120,000 people, mostly American citizens, forced them to leave their homes and their communities and their businesses and placed in what we euphemistically called an internment camp. We now can look back in horror and say that this was an act of racism and war hysteria. But we need to remember that this was also a program that was supported by most of the people in this country, including most of the media and including many of the progressive leaders of this country, like the President Franklin Roosevelt and the then governor of California, Earl Warren. My point is that it's easy to be a human rights advocate in hindsight and look back and judge that what happened then was horrible. The work that the ACLU has been engaged in since that terrible day of 9/11 is aimed at ensuring people are able to see injustice now and have the courage to do something about it. I mean policies of the government that place people under surveillance, detain people, deport people, and a culture that treats people based on a fearful and ugly ethnic stereotype. To act on human rights now, rather than bemoan and apologize for past human rights abuses, is much harder and I think is the more important work. And I just want to thank you for your encouragement to continue that important work. Thank you very much.
Howard Simon, thank you. Thank you very much. And congratulations as well.